No, I'm always like flipping her around.
This is how big it is.
Thank you, Vincent.
I didn't really trace it that big.
Okay, that's a good start. Are we going to start our cocktail?
Plus its tooth is coming through, which is
And how is it? It's like easy and easy.
I think it's getting easier. Maybe. I don't know. Like the first tooth we were up 11 times, and then the sixth tooth maybe 7 times we were up.
Like now I feel when you told me every hour, I have now like the last 3 weeks every hour waking up and feel like we sleep 2 hours straight.
She's too little. You can have some time in there though. You're like, this is the best 2 hours of my life. But it won't stay that way.
Yeah, but like he did eating for 2 months now, from 4 months to 6 now. And I don't know what is coming. Like the gum, it's bigger now, so it looks like finally it come true, but not teeth.
So my son started teething at 3 months old, and they didn't pop out until 6 or 7 months. But then they all came, like he had like 4 at once.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so every baby is different. And then this daughter, Nora, wherever she is, she had the bottom 2 like super fast, came out together. And then just 1 snaggletooth at the top. It was the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life. She would like smile at you, and her tooth would just like 1 tooth would just hang out. And now she has all 4, and they're balancing and everything. They also can come in like very crooked. Don't panic. The mouth is going to change a lot. My son just lost his first tooth up here. He lost 2 down here, but you'll see their gaps getting wider and wider because his teeth look tiny now, where they looked right in his mouth, but now he's got the big 2 front teeth coming in, and the jaw just keeps opening and opening. So it's going to change how those teeth lie as they lose teeth and go through. So.
And can I ask you, when they start popping out, it is even worse for them? Like
yeah, it's the most painful is when they finally are out. I think this is truly why God doesn't let us remember us getting our teeth, right? Because you know when you like have tooth pain, you're like, this is some of the worst pain you've ever experienced in your life. Right now they're forming those nerves. In my heart, I hope, and I'm confident God didn't do that to them. But I do think He has us not remember our teeth coming in for a very certain reason. And so they want to chew on things. They want the more things you can give them to gnaw on. It's very normal. So people are like, oh, sorry, the baby put the toy in their mouth. Like, the baby's they're supposed to put their hands in their mouth. They're supposed to chew on their fingers. Babies are always going to do what makes sense. And so they are going to want that. The thing that you don't want is for them to use your nipples as that chew toy.
oh, he started using that like his gum, like
Yeah. It's very comforting. The sucking reflex floods them with oxytocin, and so that really makes them feel better. But once they start to fall asleep or get tired, what I've tended to see with our 3 kids is that they really start to chomp down right before they're going to fall asleep. And I'm like, nay, nay. And all you do is slide your pinky in there and release them. And sometimes they'll just go right to sleep, and sometimes they'll be like, oh, what did you do to me? But, yeah. And you don't allow them to bite you, girls. Do not be tough. You pop your baby right off, and you say no, and you stop the nursing session. And if that means that you have to switch to the other side because they haven't eaten enough yet or whatever, you do that, but you give them, they understand a boundary this early. Yeah, they say no. They're going to learn, well, when I do that, I lose my milk. And so, truly, Karen bit me twice. Vincent bit me 1 time real bad, and Nora has bitten me twice. But I'm a big, I react. I'm like, no! Like, and there's
I did it
immediately.
I did it last night because he was like really fussy, and he started laughing.
Oh my gosh.
I was like very serious because I always like say like cute, like na na na, like in Chinese, like
Yeah.
no. And I'm like no, and he was like eh. I'm like oh. So I can't do anything else. I can't like punish him like he doesn't. He's baby, but I'm like okay. The bad boys doesn't help. It's funny. I'm like what are you
You're just taking away what they want can be very effective. And like Honora right now, our littlest is 13 months yesterday, and she really understands what no means right now. Like she can use no and say it and say no, like I don't want this, but she's been being able to say like no, I don't want that probably since 8 or 9 months old, like with her body, like hey, take this, and she's like I'm not doing that. pick her up, she would go.
And she said that.
Yeah. So as long as you're really consistent, one of the things that we learned with Vincent was not to say no all the time unless you need to. So if you're like, don't touch that cloud. We want to say the positive, like, can we play with this toy? And so instead of always saying the negative or don't do that or no or stop, saving your nose for like when they're gonna run into the street, when they're gonna touch the stove, like those things, and instead using language, because they need as much language as you can give them, to say like, oh, we're not gonna claw mommy's face, or like Honora will slap me, because all babies do. And I'll grab her hands and I'll be like, no, let's be gentle. Like, and tell her the right thing to do. Instead of saying, no, don't do this thing, just being like, I'm going to redirect you to what's. Because if you think about, if any time you did something wrong, your husband went up to you and said, no! You'd be like, oh, this marriage is over. But if he said, hey babe, next time you are gonna leave all these boxes out for me to take out to the trash, which is like the #1 female thing, could you put them in this place instead of the other? You would much rather respond to that versus like, why do you always put the boxes in the box? Right? So that you can speak to your baby that way even now, because they've been learning language from you since they were inside of you.
That's what's fun. Like I love saying right now, and then like I'm silent and saying like if I like eating, so you can read that.
Yeah, he's kind of.
But you're probably cooking now, but I'm gonna get time to slow down.
It was a hard lesson for us to learn, but I don't think little Vin said no for a very long time because we were really intentional about it. But then he said no to Karen as a toddler. When you have your second kid, everything goes out the window because your toddler will ruin all the parenting. Karen said no right away because Vincent would always be like, no, don't take my toy. So she learned no very quick.
10 months tomorrow. Yeah. Now he's very big, very healthy. It's crazy like princess. Well, he's an anomaly. Don't use him as a standard 10 months.
Is he like 100% child or 90% child?
Probably.
Yeah. Vincent was. And Karen was like 50.
It is? Yeah.
There's no way he's to get
Yeah, he's usually 24 pounds.
Yeah. He's bigger than Honora, and Honora's 13. But I think he'd be on par with Vincent's size.
I like it.
Thank you.
But you can see how beautiful it is.
Tell me cheapskate. Yeah, the place just as well known.
So nice. It's a plus. What we use for redirection is, ow, that hurts me.
Yeah.
And so I say that quite a few times. Actually, last night, ow, that hurts mama. And then he stops and looks at me. And then we have like a moment to just kind of pause. And then we'll resume. But yeah, I try not to use no. I use that on the dogs. A lot.
The dog is fine.
I use that on the dogs
You
a
can
lot.
say good girl and good boy to dogs. You can say no to
But
dogs.
I think he does.
That's funny.
It's bad. Like, I didn't think it would have been.
Yeah, it is. I missed the village talk about like affirmations other than good job. Like
So in that talk, we talked about the difference between intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. So if you're always telling your kids and praising them on good job, then they're only going to be looking for outward people to be telling them they're good. And so when you say, you worked so hard, or they went down, they're like, Mommy, look at me, I went down the slide. And the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, good job. What you want to say is, you went down, you slid, or you climbed, or you jumped. You just want to label the activity. Or like our kids will come up and they'll be like, Mommy, isn't this painting beautiful? Do you like it? Do you like it? And the first thing I say is, do you like it? What's your favorite part of it? I see that you used all the colors. Do you want to tell me about your picture? And then still my son, because we didn't know a good job, will be like, but do you like it? And I'm like, yeah, I like it. Or he's like, look at how I wrote my name, Mom. Look how great I wrote my name. And like half the letters are backwards. And I'm like, you wrote it. You wrote it. It is a very hard thing to change, but once you do, and I think we went through 7 different parenting books this beginning of this year, and those are loaded on our YouTube channel if you ever want to go through them, which is called Building Your Baby's Brain. We learned that traditional parenting model, whatever country, whatever culture it was from, working on getting your kids intrinsically motivated to do the right thing. So like my son now, since we've shifted this after we read Hunt, Gather, Parent and learned this, he will say, "Mommy, stay in your room." And I'm like, okay. He's like, "No, Mommy, really, stay in your room. Do not come out until I tell you." And I'm like, "Is Nora okay? Is Karen okay?" He's like, yeah, everyone's okay. Just don't come out. And then I'll come out and he'll have picked up the whole living room. Whoa. And he does this. I don't ask him, I do this, but he knows. And I go, "Vincent, this means so much to me. This helps Mommy out so much. Thank you." I don't say, "What a good job you did." Okay, I say, "This is so helpful for me. It makes Mommy feel so much better when she walks out. Thank you so much." And then he's usually like, "Can I get a popsicle?" And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Because everybody wants to treat when they do the right thing. Treat yourself. But those are, that's the biggest thing with the don't say good boy, good girl thing, is that you don't want to praise your kids what they did. You want to just label what they did. Or like Vincent will go across Sunshine Park and he'll climb along the outside of it, like Robin Hood, and he'll be like, "Mom, didn't I do an amazing job climbing?" And like, what he really wants me to say is, "You look just like Robin Hood." That's what he wants me to say. So that's what I say. But he'll be like, "I did such a great job," and I'll be like, "Is that how you feel?" And like just getting it so that what he does, and like he cleaned off the table the other day. He's like, "I'm gonna clean this off, it's gonna look way better." And then the second my husband walked in, who knows I love words of affirmation, walks in thinking that I cleaned the table, he's like, "Wow, this table looks great." And my son puffed up like a rooster. He was like, "It does, doesn't it?" Did he transfer everything from the table onto the island? Yes, he did. But he is 6 years old and the table looks great.
I use all kinds of stuff. I always say good job.
Yeah. And it's not wrong. It's just, and we talked about this last time we were here, it's like sitting down with your spouse and figuring out, what do we want our child to be like? What characteristics do we want to have? And a hard-working child is a child that sees their parents that work hard, but also that has an intrinsic motivation. So my husband is one of the hardest workers. His parents are both hard workers. But the first thing that motivated him in school was his older brother got grounded for the entire summer for bad grades. And he saw that, right? I'm telling a true story. You're just not looking at me like I'm just making this up. He saw that and he was like, "I will never have that happen to me." Now my husband got grounded a million times for a dirty room, constantly. It didn't faze him, but he was never going to lose his whole summer. That was his intrinsic motivation to say, "I will never be in that situation, so I'm going to work hard and I'm going to do the best because I see that my parents value it and I saw the level of consequence and I am not here for it." But a dirty room, I'll miss a Saturday, ain't no thing. But I will never have grades be a reason that I have such a huge consequence. And so when we're thinking about what kind of child we want to raise, like we want our children, part of our goals are that we want them to be generous, we want them to love God, we want them to take care of other people. We are chiropractors, and my whole family is chiropractors. We help people get better, we help them heal, we help them get through things in their life to get to like how God's designed. So we want them to take on that mission. Like we created this place because we wanted there to be a place for families and mothers to get together and have a village, because we're not supposed to raise kids alone. And so like just now, Karen whacked that kid in the head with a baby doll and he was crying. And we had this talk that she had a consequence, and their talk was, "This is our space, like we have to make sure that people feel safe here. Like this is your job as a part of our family team, that we take care of this." And this is because so our kids help clean up this place. They helped us paint and build and all these things. We take them to the office, and they're really little, so it's not huge. But already at 6, our son is like, "Hey Daddy, can I help you? Can I do this stuff?" And so when you are thinking about what kind of child you want, or if you're trying to unparent the things that you didn't like what your parents did, learning about all the different things that you could do differently, or why you want it to be different, and what's the best and quickest way, and agreeing on that with your husband. Because if you're all like, "Okay, we're doing this," and then he's like, "Nah," it's only going to put discord in your marriage, but it's also just going to have a confused kid.
about motivation if he like start eating like some sort of food, and I won't like talk about how, of course, how good job it is now, but like eating great. So what I
You like it?
feel like
You like it?
because my mind is like dead, like I should say.
That's all I would say is, do you like it? Or I would just say, that's sweet potatoes. Like, I would just like label the food or you're eating. And you can say it as happy as you want.
Oh, okay.
So this is on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, when we talked about,
Yeah, everybody, pretty much me. Hunt Gather Parent had it. I think the Danish Way Parenting had it.
and don't get a whole brain child.
Child had it.
Like every time she uses the potty, I have to stop myself from saying, "You're such a good pottier," which
You
starts
say-
to make sense.
You peed. You peed. But you know, but if you also think about like when Karen goes to poop, because she'll tell me, in my family I was raised this way. I was raised like, if I said, I don't feel good, mommy, my mom would say, how don't you feel good? Are you tired? Do you need to poop? Do you feel like you need to throw up? Like, what do you need? And almost always it was, I needed to poop. So now my daughter will come up to me and she'll go, Mommy, my belly hurts. And I'll be like, do you think you need to poop? And she'll be like that. And then she'll go poop. And after she goes poop, she's like, Mommy, I pooped. I go, do you feel better? She goes, yeah, I'm ready for dinner. Because we also have talked about how when she won't eat, like sometimes she just will not have one bite. And I'm just like, what? There's no way you're not hungry. You haven't eaten in 4 hours. But she goes poop and then she'll eat all our food. So now she's tied together. She's like, I don't have any room. I gotta go poop. And then she'll come back to her dinner thing and be like, I have all the room. And I don't know if that's really true how she feels, but I mean, all of us have felt stuffed, right? And after you go poop, you're like, I feel better.
Same with him, if he didn't go on the second, like he doesn't even milk anything like that. So after you do that, like he's hungry. So that's
Yeah. So they're very, I mean, kids are very in tune with their body, which is why we're having the conversation, sick or teething, because so often we are getting younger and younger babies that are coming into our clinic and they are saying, oh, my baby has an ear infection. And we're like, this is new and wild to us. That there people are like, oh, my kid has an ear infection, my kid has an ear infection. Now, a lot of people know chiropractic assists with ear infections. That's why we get talking about this a lot, because chiropractic does not treat ear infections. But what happens is that when a baby teethes, their whole upper part of their body inflames. And their teeth are inflaming, and their eustachian tube, which is right here, it's the tube that the ear hole, goes to the throat. So if all this is inflamed, you can look into the ear and this will be inflamed as well. That does not necessarily mean they have an ear infection, and we don't tend to see ear infections until kids are walking. And my husband will explain more about why that is.
Yeah, the pelvis and the cranial bones, if you take them out of the body, they look identical. They look the same, move the same way.
That's these bones right here. The cranial bones make up your skull versus your pelvis bones.
And so when your child is learning how to walk, they'll fall a bunch, and through that falling, oftentimes their pelvis is going to misalign, which then alters how the cranial bones move, and ear infections happen because that eustachian tube can't drain. The drainage will not be able to happen if those cranial bones are torqued. So if the cranial bones are torqued, it's going to twist the tube that the fluid is coming out of, and if there's fluid stuck in a tube, that's when bacteria and viruses can all come in. And that's where, again, the ear is going to look red. And the ear looking red is just the body trying to prevent an infection. It's trying to increase the temperature to kill off the bacteria, which is what the body is doing with teething. When the baby is teething, and I looked at this research article a couple days ago, it essentially, and if I looked at a bunch of different research articles, and a lot of them said the same thing, and I was talking to Jill about this, that they all point to the fact that it seems like there's an underlying infection that's happening. But from our perspective, it's not that there's an infection that the body is trying to take care of. It's trying to have almost a preemptive attack from an infection taking place. And so it looks exactly the same. They talk about these immune system markers that are up that increase the redness, they increase your body temperature, they change how the baby poops. Oftentimes, one of the more common things that we'll hear is like your child is teething is they'll get a diaper rash for the first time ever. Their poop will be more loose and all these things and so I had a mom yesterday who's like, the daycare said that we can't bring the baby back tomorrow because, again, the baby's stool is loose, she's drooling everywhere, she's rubbing her ear, she has a temperature, and literally all those things are from teething. And all too often we see those things, and again, an outside observer looking in is like, you have all these signs that you're sick. But from our perspective, the body does not do anything by mistake. It raises the temperature, it has the drooling, it changes the poop, because those are all methods to try to prevent an infection from happening. It doesn't mean that there's an infection actually present in the baby.
And when we look at markers in the blood, we're looking at the systemic, the whole body. And what we want to do is understand that as a tooth erupts, it creates a wound in the mouth. Now, if you guys have, wherever your knowledge base is at, if you have a mouth infection, a tooth infection, this is very close to the brain. If you're an adult and you have an infected tooth, the dentist doesn't give you a couple days. They're like, we're going to take care of this immediately. Because this infection in your mouth is a dangerous thing. Now, why would God design a mouth to have teeth erupt? It's next to the brain, it would be dangerous. Or would he preemptively raise the temperature, which kills all major, so strep and staph die at 99.1. So when they're in it, if you put them in an incubator and you let them put them on a petri dish and you let staph and strep flourish, and then you put them in an incubator at 99.1, they will die. The other thing that kills them better than anything, a drop of breast milk. So why does your baby want to eat so much? Yes, and so you're bathing it in this beautiful, wonderful healing thing if you do breastfeed. And so when this wound is about to happen, the body is going to prepare for it. Just like when we, you know how you like start to feel stuffy and you start to get symptoms and then the next day you have a cold? What is happening that day before? Your body is preparing. That whatever bug sickness that you've had has been inside you for days. And now it's like, we're going to express these symptoms because the most effective way for you to get a cold out of your system is to have a lot of snot and get it all out. Because people are like, oh, this sucks, I always get colds. Or some people with allergies, right? They're like, oh, allergies are so bad, my eyes water and that I have a stuffy nose. Well, if the allergen is bothering you, what's the easiest way for it to get out? Watering eyes, stuffy nose, right? And so, I mean, we could have a whole conversation about allergies, they're different. But when our kids are teething, they're going through a very intense time. They're also leveling up because teeth happens in the middle of the 4-month and 8-month sleep progression. It happens when you're going to start introducing solids. It happens when they sit up for the first time. It happens when they're crawling. And it happens when they have control over their hands to put every dang thing on the planet in their mouth, right? And so you're like, great, so now we have erupting teeth, wounds in our mouth, and we're putting in my grandma's flip-flop that they found, right? It's always a flip-flop. It's always the nastiest thing you could ever think of, right? Or they go with you, find them in the bathroom after they can crawl with the toilet brush in their mouth. Like, guys, it's gonna happen. This is what children do. Hopefully, if they're your daughters tend to clean the toilet, boys tend to play with it. Because women and men are wired differently. But so when we're in this area, the other reason that we're going to have a heightened temperature is that the baby develops their sense of feeling through putting things in their mouth. It is not negative that babies put things in their mouth. It's their first touch. These aren't as developed as this is, and so as they're bringing things to their mouth, they're experiencing different textures, different things, and so again, they're wired to put things in their mouth, and this protective mechanism is set up. And with the diaper rash, it's always interesting because it's a first-time mom and the baby's never had a diaper rash because y'all are on it with their diaper changing because you only have one kid to focus on, and then they will get this bright red, angry rash, and it's from the pH of the poop, and the pH of the poop is changed because of all the drool and all the things and changing. And so when that's there, almost I tell my moms, like, you should just be relieved. Be like, oh, it's not this, they're not sick, it's just teeth. Praise God. And usually those rashes go away pretty quickly too. It's not the same as a rash where you like leave the baby in and the poop is on there too long and they get like a little butt burn. It's usually, or it's not a yeast infection rash, which is the nastiest rash you've ever seen in your life. People are just like, I think my kid has yeast. I'm like, you would know. We would know. Because it does not mess around. It's a very angry rash. But with that, one of the reasons we wanted to have this conversation is that we're seeing babies who are younger and younger and younger put on antibiotics, which the research shows does not address ear infections, guys. If you Google Do antibiotics help ear infections? Google Scholar. Otitis media is the what is called, like that's the fancy medical word for an ear infection, otitis media. Antibiotics cannot reach the middle ear. It's sealed. So what we're doing when we give our kids antibiotics is ruining their gut, making their body not function the way it's supposed to, and not addressing the problem at all. We also have a lot of kids who are older. We'll really see ear infections start to happen once they're pulling to stand and walking. Again, like you said, when that pelvis misaligns, this right hip can move, it's going to move this right ear. We can even look at babies, and if you ever see a baby and one ear is like this, and one ear is flat, that pelvis is out. Because they mirror each other so much, right? Yeah, it mirrors what's going on down here. And it's wild. This is the stuff that we're trained in. And so, having them be addressed by a holistic provider, whether you choose that you do CST, or you choose that you see a PT, or you choose that you see a chiropractor, and having someone calm down the neck muscles, calm down the body, those things will help your baby adapt. But truly, we don't see ear infections in kids until they're walking because they hit their butt so much.
So can I ask you, waking up now every hour, shouldn't I then breastfeeding sometimes not like just because the teething?
It hurts, yeah.
Because only thing what helps me, thank you for recommendation, the alcohol.
Yeah, the rescue remedy. Yeah.
The whiskey on the
Yeah, the whiskey on the guns. Well,
Honestly, this is the one thing.
it's called box rescue remedy, and they have it for kids, and they also have it for adults. The adults, it's all these herbs that are calming for kids, so it helps in every way. We will dose our kids with it. We're like, we're going on a car trip, you go. But if you get the adult one, it has alcohol. It's made in an alcohol tincture. This is her favorite thing in the world. And it will help numb the gum there.
What was the name of that?
Box rescue remedy.
Box rescue.
Like Bach, like John Sebastian Bach, like the composer. Yeah.
And whole foods.
Whole Foods.
Same with sprouts.
Okay.
But these other things give me 2 hours sleep straight. But can I ask you how often does he use it? Like,
As much as you want, girl.
Really?
He's not gonna get drunk off some drops.
because my husband bought me the rum and he said, just rum a little bit.
Oh my God, I'm
Like, I'm not sure.
Well, rum has a lot of sugar in it, and the box rescue remedy doesn't. So I would do the box rescue remedy before
I'm
the
like,
sugar.
no.
But we're crazy about sugar. Yeah.
Start very early.
You go, you know what, honey? Every time you feel like you need to have, how about you have some? I'll do this. But it's very helpful to rub on the gums. Yeah, Karen, can you leave her alone?
Now, do different teeth express different?
Molars are the worst.
We're not there yet.
Molars
but
are the worst.
The first 2 that came out at the same time were the top front. And now he has a second bottom front that's coming out. But the top front, that took me for a loop. I was not.
There are also some babies that don't care that their teeth come in. Those mothers are not here.
Yeah,
They don't know. That was this.
Right.
This is the best baby. She was the easiest, best baby in the world. Her teeth all came in. We didn't even know. She didn't stop sleeping. We would just wake up one day and her teeth would be out. She has handled even molars. She has handled with great. She had one night where her whole side of her face was swollen up. We were like, what is this? Do you have mumps? Is this parotid or whatever it is? Parotid gland inflammation. And it was just her molar coming in. Yeah. Remember, it was like super swollen. Yeah. And that was it. That's the only teeth thing we've ever had with her. Other than that, literally didn't even know she had teeth coming. This one wakes up every hour and nurses, and Vincent was very dramatic. Very. Yeah, you never know. You never know. She was an angel baby. The easiest, slept, could be held by anyone, could be put down.
I was the third or second. It was very different.
She's the second.
She's the second. My first was the hardest baby you've ever had in your life. Like literally, if you were basing having more children on how the first child went, you would have one child. He was the most. Vincent he would only sleep moving. So in his first 6 months, he would sleep in the car. He would just drive until he fell asleep. He would only sleep for 45 minutes. Literally, you could set your watch by it. Slept for 45 minutes, wake up screaming bloody murder. He'd pop up, turn the car on, and he'd do that for 3 hours. And then he'd bring him up to me to eat. Then I would have a 3-hour shift, and then we'd wake up again, and then he would have the next 3-hour shift. It was. I mean, we were opening our practice. It was a terrible time.
Oh my god.
Are you jealous? But
But
she's medium. She has her hard moments. She's my only baby that hated the car. I know you're jealous. She's the only baby that hated the car, and she hated the car for 6 months.
Wow.
And we drive 6 hours often.
It's a lot challenging.
Yeah. So it's not. So no kid is the same. So even as you guys sit here and like compare, you could meet 10 women with 4 month olds. None of them are going to be the same.
Yeah, that's crazy. What about you?
She puts this in her mouth and the truth
That's pretty smart for feeding, honestly.
I feel like one thing that we tell a lot of our parents, like talking them off the ledge with sickness, is that, I said it before, is that the body's never going to do anything to hurt itself. And so if we can view the symptoms as the body's intelligent expression to try to get better, rather than something to be treated, I think that can transform your parenthood journey. Because oftentimes we look at symptoms and say, oh, and we're taught that symptoms are bad. When you go to the doctor, you go to the doctor when symptoms are bad. And what does the doctor do? Like, what are your symptoms? Here's a drug, or here's something to decrease your symptoms. But the symptoms are not an accident. The symptoms are an intelligent expression from what the body is going through. And so if we can just encourage and support our babies during those times, like when the baby is teething, maybe don't go take them out on a car ride if it's not necessary. Maybe don't keep them up later at night because something is happening if possible. Put them to bed earlier, give them more skin-to-skin time, just try to decrease the stimulation that they have so you can increase the support, just to help them get through it, as opposed to thinking of something that's going wrong that needs to be treated. That's not always the case. Sometimes things do need to be treated, but I would say that the vast majority of cases, things are normal. Like your baby is just going through this developmental phase, they know what's happening, their bodies are totally in control, we just need to support them through it.
And in that vein, what I want to discuss, and this is very controversial, don't post this, Joel.
Dang it, my ear perked up.
Is fevers. Okay? So depending on who your pediatrician is, no matter if they're holistic or ready to drug your baby at the drop of a hat, okay? Your pediatrician, if they suck, please find a new one. Okay? If you don't like them, break up. Yeah.
Did you recommend me oats before the bed for full stomach?
No.
What?
Synthetic vitamin D, I'm like, no, I will not do that.
Yeah.
Dr. Ali.
She's crazy. I'm like, okay, I gotta check blood. On the street here, there's on the street, right? Pediatrician, like nice, like wooden building.
Yeah, no, you should, we'll give you some
Everything's
suggestions.
wrong. I'm like, no, I will not follow
So
that.
most pediatricians, I would say the majority of them, are just teaching out of a textbook. They have not had a kid.
I don't have my
very
watch, so I
aware with the
don't know. I'm like,
okay? So the number one number that you are given if your child has a fever of 100.4 or higher. Yeah, for newborns. In that first couple months. Please call the pediatrician, call the emergency line, okay? So 100.4, like I said, 99.3 is where the body can start killing all the strep and staph bacteria. So like you'll have 20 people come to our office and be like, I think I might have strep. They're all like, you should give yourself a fever. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, put on sweatpants, put a scarf around your throat, get in bed, and I want you to sweat. Like eat warm food. Like I want you to be hot. Because the hotter you get, sometimes the body will take over and put a fever, and that kills what's going on. So anytime you like, just wrap that puppy up, get warm. And we'll even tell people if they're like, I don't know, my kid's not feeling great. I'm like, dress them up, get them hot, and just see if that will help them. Give them a little baby fever, but. The 100.4 is a malpractice number, okay? This is a number that is, if it's higher than this, so febrile seizures, which is what everyone is afraid of, happen between 99 and 101. They don't happen at 102, they don't happen at 103, 104, 105. So if you've passed that threshold and we haven't had a seizure, then you're pretty much out of that window. Also, febrile seizures are a protective mechanism by the brain. They don't usually end up, I mean, you can comment on this more, but like it's not brain damage type of seizures. It's not like the oxygen is leaving the body or any of that stuff. The body's just like, wow, we're really hot and we're gonna do something to try and shake this, literally. It's our daughter, Nora. And so in our world and with our pediatricians who we love, which is Bluebird Pediatrics, what we look at is how is the baby acting, not the number on the thermometer. So your baby could be very hot, very uncomfortable and grumpy, but if they're not lethargic, now they're going to be less moving because they don't feel good, right? But lethargic is like your baby is like, you're like trying to stimulate them and they're like this. Like that's lethargic. Lethargic is not like, oh my baby's sleeping more, they're laying on me all the time. And you guys will see this in the 1 to 2 area and when this will really happen. And that baby is not feeling great, but it's not okay. And a mother knows when her baby is not okay, but what we hate to see is a mom who's obsessively checking a temperature, and it's like, it's 103, it's 104, it's 100. Like our kids have a temperature, we don't even know what it is. Because if they're still acting like themselves, just a sick version of themselves, we are good. If they're more sleepy, that's smart. We heal and we sleep. But we don't, in our family personally, and our pediatrician is amazing, is the first thing she'll say is, how is the baby acting?
So if the baby acting weird and that's concern, but if it's hot and 35,
that's what we've been taught by our pediatrician and what we've seen with 3 kids. It's just, how is your child is more important than the number. And kids, I mean, I know for a fact that our son had COVID in the November of 2019 and he was so hot. Like, had to be 103, 104, 105. We don't even own a thermometer, guys. I don't want to know the number because it's going to mess with my head.
Yeah, that was my problem. He had a little temperature and then he was like,
Yeah.
hold on, let me try the ear, hold on, let me try the back of the neck, hold on, let me try that. And I was obsessed.
Yes, and it's not healthy.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and it's always our
I
first
think
time.
that's why now I have the flare up because my stress is coming out.
And it's always our first time moms who are just trying to be the most perfect mom and do everything right. And it's your first baby, so you're like, what if I don't know? What if I miss something? And that's why it's good to have a relationship with a pediatrician you trust. Like if you don't like your pediatrician, like let's find you a new one. Let's find you somebody that you feel like you can work with and not work against.
and how long is the competition usually because we visit first month and then 4 months and then 6 months. So it's not like 4 months.
We just cleared it. Your head like
Those well checks are all designed around the vaccination. And if you want to know, if you want to know your baby's weight and height and stuff. People ask me all the time how much Nora weighs. I'm like, I don't know, but I'm gonna find out on Friday. We're gonna get a scale for here so everybody can know how much their baby weighs.
Our bi-monthly check-in.
Yes.
I don't think it's a perfect science, but I step on the scale and then I hold her and then I step on the scale and I subtract and I go, oh, you're about 15 pounds.
Yes, that's great.
You got like a
And that's
luggage
also
scale.
that's really perfect science, and that's all we
My cats.
You've got kitty cats, Hazel.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My rabbit got sick and we had 9 pounds to the gram, so we have a baby scale.
Oh, cool.
We weigh the rabbit a lot more.
Yeah, I had to spare for beginning how much he drank, because I was worried how much he could drink. And then like I couldn't scale anymore. I was like, so can I ask about the teaching when we start being worse? Because what I can just feed and breastfeeding, that's only
Yeah, that's really all he needs. The amber necklace is going to help a lot. The rescue remedy is going to help a lot. But really, it's just another season we suffer through. Yeah, you just love them through a hard time. It's a hard time. It's it's not an impossible time, but it's one of the first hardest things they're gonna do, right? So they were born, that was hard. They had to adapt to being cold, pooping their pants, and being hungry for the first time. That was hard. Then they're gonna learn how to sleep without like being inside of you. That's hard. And now they're gonna teeth, and that's hard. And it's just the beginning as a mother that you guys are going to be supporting your kid through hard stuff. You know, before you know it, it's going to be somebody who's beating me on the playground, some curly haired girl hit me over the head with a baby doll. You know, these are the things that are going to happen. And you are just learning how to support. And every child you have will need to be supported differently.
It's like, it's a choking hazard, and I want to.
So there's one lady who has really perpetuated the choking thing. Her son did unfortunately die from the amber necklace. He was in a daycare. They put him in a crib and just left him there and walked away, and he choked because of. And I mean, it had to be a perfect scenario because what in a crib can a necklace get around or whatever? And they just didn't watch him. And so she is very big. Like she's a very large presence and our influence in that. And so. We have had amber necklaces on all of our children, around their neck, the wrong size, the whole time. So case study versus case study. Her case study ended it poorly. Ours is great. But what I told her, and you can see it, is you just put it on their ankle.
I also know that you're wearing them yourself. Is that fashion or is that helpful to?
There's still benefit to you.
Okay. And it's like, it is calming for adults too,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
I think they said it's can calm you down or like make a bit of energy, but it's actually like strong in head. So I have one and Amber, it's just like calm down, but it doesn't hurt.
Where do you get them? I know there's a lady that sells them.
Healing market.
So Susha used to own B&B. It was the place space that was like the biggest thing here. She's from Poland, and they actually harvest them from the shores of Poland. Her whole family collects them.
Is that the market?
But it's also at native sun, so you don't have to wait until Sunday.
We like them, so we go.
But yeah, and she's not there all the time because she's going to Poland. So. Oh yeah, that's the other thing is that people will take the necklace off when they're going to sleep. I think it's kind of defeats the purpose. Yeah. Do you wear your necklace when you're sleeping? Yes. Yeah. Do you choke? No. Your baby will communicate with you that they're not okay.
Yeah, like it had to be, for that to get snagged on something to choke you, it had to be the perfect, most unperfect stage.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it would be dangerous in a situation where there's people out.
Yeah. A blanket could be a suffocation thing.
I'm just really feeling like you have everything so hard, so strong, so maybe if you choke, you don't know, right? You go pick it up.
He would stop.
Even if you pull, the baby's not going to pull it backwards.
So you
can only choke
You can't choke
forward.
this way. You
Yeah.
can only choke backwards.
It had to be the most unfortunate thing ever.
If he somehow choke himself, you think he
Right.
stop,
No,
right?
he would stop. So the only thing that I could think of is my son grabbed his hair once when he was like 2 months old and pulled it, and then he was screaming because he was pulling his hair. But he stopped within seconds. But I remember him, I was like, "You're doing this to yourself!" Like I can't even stop. Like his hand was like this. I was like, "Stop pulling your own hair." But he ended up letting go and stopping, and he was like, and I was like, "Bro, you did that. Mommy did not. Don't look at me like that. Mommy did not do that to you. Look at this big guy."
Yeah, we can do it. I don't know if you're asking like the science behind it, that sort of thing.
I don't know how it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, for the best things that we could find is just the heat of the amber gives off
Salicylic acid.
which is a pain reducer. And so that's where we used to take them off when we were giving the kids a bath. And then the lady's
Thinking that it would like wear off or something, and she was like,
It would be my natural thing to be like, let's get all the way naked.
yeah. But she was like, you crazy Americans, no, you don't have to charge it. No, you don't have to take it off in the back. Until the amber is gone, it will not stop working. This will last for all of the children. She literally said, you crazy Americans.
we took it off. We took it off one night and forgot to put it back on, and our son drooled like crazy.
You literally see the drool go. It's wild.
And then yeah, we put it back on and the drool came away.
Honora was starting to drool and I didn't have to use bibs anymore. Yeah.
I noticed that too. When he's not wearing it, we have to change his outfit at least three different times. But when he wears it,
And then you'll see that, like, if they're drooling, they'll get a rash here, it'll get real gross underneath.
well, I was thinking, I wear it all wrists, both arms.
Remember when I say they round babies, they're not
So do you think it doesn't matter if it's
I think the closer it is to the area, it's better.
It'll get warmer here.
Yeah. So, but again,
Let's
like,
maybe put socks on.
but if it's a sleep time that you're worried about, then I would put it down there and I would make sure he's in a footy pajamas because that will heat it up as well. But I always tell moms, I was like, the things that we want to mitigate is you feeling anxious. Because if you're worried about it, that's going to affect your sleep, your milk supply, everything. So if it scares you to put it around their neck, then put it around their leg. That's fine. If it scares you not to know what their fever is, know what it is. But if you also know if you know what it is and it's going to freak you out, don't do it.
And I said,
Just watch your baby.
I wear it on. I said, me too. Honestly, Jacob doesn't like if I put a necklace or a bib on her, and it will make me nervous.
I think but I like the footing shoes. I think the footing shoes. Except for right now, it feels so hot. We dress so
Your
light.
baby will also not get overheated if they're in a footy pajama. I know we feel like it's 100 degrees outside. Our kids are all melt.
Yeah.
Sweaty girl.
Sweaty is good. Like, it's her body adapting to the heat. It's really great.
Sometimes, like, cause we dabble back and forth. We're like, I sweat and she sweats, and we just like sweat together.
And so if you're co-sleeping, which we love, and you guys are getting sleep, then I feel like it's okay not to have a footy pajama on.
Yeah, we usually do a long sleeve. Like
So
that's
Honora is sleeping, is walking around in what she slept in. But her legs were cold last night, and I was like trying to cover up. She hates blankets. He hates it. My two daughters hate blankets. My son wants to cook it. And so like we just figuring out what your kid needs. What I would do is turn your thermostat down.
yeah.
Just for the nighttime.
His diaper.
Yeah.
So I don't take it for
But I would also, she's like, I want to wear it, Mom. Maybe also put it in a pajama or like a sleeper, maybe a bamboo one, and see if he sleeps longer. He might be cold. He might be so hot. He is hot. You feel like he's hot, but he might be trying to heat himself up. So even if you did the light bamboo one, not a crazy, not a winter, and just see if he sleeps better. He might be cold. Yeah, and that might help him sleep more. I mean, you're in the 4 months, yeah? 6 months. 6 months. Oh yeah. So you should be getting more sleep. I would try making sure he's more.
I have to buy something.
Yeah.
Do you want to borrow some? I have the bamboo. I have some cheese.
What is like the store for baby?
But honestly, like the bamboo pajamas I think get are so marked up. Like I pay the same price at Home. Like that's what there's one.
They are sometimes if you look in the regular section, they don't realize they're putting in the good stuff in the regular section. I found some like cheap ones. They should have marked up.
At once upon a time, the kids' consignment store. And there's one right here at Kernan and Hodges, or Hodges and Beach, excuse me. and they have, because you can bring in their clothes and you can buy them, so there may be some there, if you're okay with wearing those clothes. Yeah.
We use it all. We know all 99% of what she wears is from there.
Yeah, it's a great little place. And it's always new because moms are always bringing in clothes.
Thank you. So it's cool.
Or there's kid to kid.
It's an Avondale, it's 60 years.
I was like,
Because she ate this side of it.
But yeah, I will let you know. It's more stuff. It's like Portuguese cotton, Pima cotton, bamboo, like really nice stuff.
But also the thrift stores that have stuff all the time. Especially if you go to the thrift stores in Hawaii. Because their moms be dropping off their stuff. They know they're trying to
Is that a fancy Bumblebee?
sometimes you get brand new, super nice clothes. She's trying to figure out what's on your feet. I think there's a good well down there, and then there's a couple of church ones. Also, the dollar store is nicer than the dollar store. It's clean, it's organized, it's got nicer stuff, so just know they demographically change it. But if you go to Publix in Pontevedra, it's also higher prices. So, yes.
We'll have some bamboo.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And Carter's has like bamboo hoodies from Carter sometimes for like $9.
So what we do once a year, which we need to do it this August, every August we go down to the St. Augustine outlet and they have the Carters there, and I buy, we probably spend $300 and we get our kids clothes for like a year. Yeah, because they're having some back to school sale or whatever.
Do you have a Costco BJ's membership? Thinking maybe a Costco might have baby clothes and they have pajamas there. Because we have so many Costco one stop it. Yeah, I was thinking about that. They carry Carter's brand at Costco UK. Yeah, so we've got quite a lot.
But BJ's is closer to like out there in Vernon versus going to the town center, which I feel like is. Of course. Well, you go to the town center. Yeah.
I just think yeah. You can also check Facebook Marketplace. That's how you get it. Has like a lot of moms. Thank you. Yeah, get rid of. I bought some stuff.
She was swimming with Jacob and a professional photographer came up and was like, taking portraits. Yeah.
Like your family's so beautiful and I
just put away the previous
That's great because normally
and then
like
I
there's
so
$500 for pictures.
I leave it also with Jasmine at the friends. Yeah, because I did buy like these like bears, it's so hot here.
She doesn't like check in with your friend and make sure she likes it, okay? Listen to her mommy.
Ask her
Let me know when you have time.
Yeah, that's okay. Favors sitting like this. So his right leg is a little more developed or puffier or inflamed, whatever, compared to his left.
It's a little lacier than this one.
We need to go on that one, okay? Are you gonna ride together? You go first, we'll follow.
To be honest, there was a question when he crawls, is it different? I haven't,
But you dress it a little more than this one. So that's why I said it's a little lacier than that.
When you said lazier, I was like, do you mean crawling?
On anything though, on everything. Because even when you sit it down, he moves this one is more like there.
Could it be possibly, but I would say most likely not.
It might be his handedness. He could be left-handed.
he does favor his left.
That could be his dominant side.
Because it also seems a little puffier or a little thicker. Like, remember when he was born, he had a hip issue, so I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
Yeah, they're even. So it's not a hip thing. Usually if the hips are bad, then those are uneven. Like if you see uneven trims on the kid, we're like, ooh, red one.
Uneven chunks.
Yeah, like so if you line up their legs, all of their fat rolls should line up.
If they're sitting like a little froggy, it's not an issue.
If he's not going like this and both on
No,
up,
it's only one.
that's
Only
okay.
one.
My guess is he's transitioning his position when he sits like that. Like you'll see kids will crawl weird as they're transitioning to standing. Like they'll crawl and then they'll like stick a leg out, but it's almost always before they pull to stand. That's probably what he's doing. He's probably just transitioning. He's either transitioning to sitting or transitioning out of sitting. And that may be why you're seeing it. Just pay attention and see if that's it. If not, let me know.
Yeah.
Because it could be how his hip is positioned. And that could be from the tooth and the cranial bones and all that stuff. It could all be connected. But my guess is it's probably something different.
So we can take that as a baseline type of thing. Like a baseline and then see if anything happened.
But I would just try to see, especially when you see it, if you see he, again, is just transitioning to the sitting, or if he's transitioning out of sitting, getting ready to crawl. Because that might be his takeoff position too. Like if he's sitting and then he kind of kicks his leg out, so he can go into that crawling.
I see that.
Well, he was slithering for the longest time. That was his go-to, was just get on his belly and army crawl his way through life. But
When you get to their digestion. Yeah, so like here, like he was crawling and now he kind of transitioned, brought that forward. And I'm okay with sitting like that. The concern is with like W sitting, but that would be
Was I dancing? Very briefly.
Not that typical.
Oh, the one is a Pilates sock. I lost the other one.
And the fact that it's
Sadly.
a little bigger than the other is not
I hope I can find the other one.
Most of the body grows asymmetrically. Like most people have one leg that's longer than the other, and so it is just the normal is asymmetrical, and he probably just pushes off of that more.
Okay, so it's developing more. Because even like that, you see one is a little stronger than the other, seems like. But again, that's just grammar. Grammar.
And then also when we go in the pool, I take it off just for the chlorine. I don't want it. But hearing that it can go in the water, I might reconsider.
Yeah, I'm just starting to become comfortable sleeping with him. And we've never spent a night apart or anything, but like in Jacob's talk, he's always been like very confident about co-sleeping. My mom even said to me, but so many people were like, "You're a baby." But luckily, not strong enough. We powered through it.
Yeah, we have a mom that same thing. She's dead set against co-sleeping. Like you said, it's just your comfortability level.
Yeah.
So this team called co-sleeping.
Sleeping with
Stand
you together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like, okay, for the longest time I've been worried to sleep with her. I'm getting over it because we've slept together for like the whole time. But yeah,
Just like that. So when we had our first baby, I was like, "You're gonna kill the baby." Like he moves around like a WWE wrestler. He has no idea. I was just like literally. So like the whole time I was like, "You're gonna kill the baby." So we had the dock cot, had the baby up in it. I would barely sleep. I would slap him every time he got too close to the baby. I was like, "Get away from!" Like, and I was really. And then I got over it.
Yeah.
Because he can sleep with our newborn in the crook of his arm, and the baby's fine.
I trust myself, but I don't trust my husband.
Yeah.
So he sleeps in the
Yeah, we sleep separately because he sleeps with her. So we co-sleep for a long time, y'all. So he sleeps with her, and then eventually when we start to night wean Nora, he's gonna have both girls, and then I'll go back. He'll get our bed back, which he's and I'll sleep in the bunk bed under my son, who still migrates down into the bed probably 4 out of 7 nights a week. Just because if you think about it, you don't want to sleep alone. You don't want to sleep, and like it just like to force a kid to sleep alone. Can they do it? Yes. But are they afraid of the dark? You were like, oh, don't be afraid of the dark. But then if you're in the basement and you have to turn the lights off and you run up the stairs, you sure do. Why are we asking 7-year-olds to be tough? And they're not going to sleep with us forever.
Now, if they're 18 or 20 and they're still sleeping, then you have a problem. Prior to that, you're okay.
But if she crawled in your bed today and she
The funny thing is that my 40-plus-year-old sometimes just like goes into the bedroom and sleeps in our bed to take naps. I mean, it's after touring or whatever. Sometimes he takes a quick nap in our bed.
But my mom
I'm
said,
just 40-something.
my mom said when
But not with me.
my 30-something-year-old brother would lay on her and cuddle with her, she was never mad about it. Never mad.
And sometimes we do that. I mean, you cuddle with your children. That's what you do. But I mean, 24/7 at age 20. That's
But apparently, especially around 9 is when kids start to get like this, like, I have private parts. I don't want to share with my brother and sister anymore. I don't want to sit with you. I want to be my person.
they're independent.
And I think it's great. Especially because I have my third kid and I can't believe how big he is. Vincent, you want to show everyone your tube?
Oh my God, if you insist, Mom.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so he has one tube coming over the other one that will not come out.
That too. 2 or 3 years ago, he hit it and it turned gray and
Al has one root, but that one root is like holding on, like I will not let go. But it's fine. But he lost his other tooth. He's about to lose his tooth. But like so big. He's all big and strong. He can climb trees. He's learning to read.
Texas.
Well, thank you for sharing.
I think
But it's amazing how big he is just on his
You have this quality.
Any other questions that you guys have? You feel like you got a lot out of the chat?
I just about this thing, so just skin to skin and breastfeed what I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the necklace will help. And the box
Yeah.
the box dress will
Oh
help.
yeah, the teeth tamer. Like that.
You are translating everything we're saying in your head well. You got it.
Honestly, my brain is dead. I can say that.
All of our brains are dead.
Oh yeah.
Baby just sucks the brain right out of your brain. Just right out.
Babies and grandbabies too, so.
Is there,
Have a lot of
then
compassion.
our last question is there any other topics that you would love us to cover in these chats?
Are the topics that we're gonna like cycle back? Because I missed a couple that I was like, what like solids.
Yeah, we're gonna solve it every week. Yeah.
Like the other night, she like held it up and like chewed on it. She likes mom, but like she always goes for it, and she like will but she always makes the gnarliest faces out of the skin. Is it the skin? Do you have it? It's sour. It's sour. Yeah, she doesn't eat the she doesn't eat the skin. She like eats the meat, but she's like, but she loves it. She goes back to it immediately.
Yeah, so she's just, yeah.
And do you have experience with egg yolk? Because I eat egg yolk with the light chicken broth. Yeah, breast milk. Oh, yeah, except
If
it's
you
light
do a
chicken.
hard-boiled egg, use the yolk with the breast milk, make like a little cafe.
Yeah, this is what he likes. I do every morning.
I get it.
Yeah, because my husband have home chickens, his mom have home chickens, so that's only things what I like able to like give him. I don't buy from the store. So I say for him that, but I'm just wondering if somebody does that too.
Oh yeah.
We do that all the time.
Egg yolk is one of the best first foods. Weston A. Price is a whole philosophy about feeding your child, and it's called Nursing Traditions for the Baby, and it'll like educate you on the whys you want to give your kid liver and egg yolk and milk.
Yeah,
and all that
liver,
stuff.
but he doesn't want to eat liver. Like I do pate, and he hated it.
Did you put enough salt on it?
Yeah. I did. I used the Celtic salt a little bit. It will be some flavor, but I think the chicken liver, what I did, it was bitter.
Yeah.
And maybe I need to use, like they said first, I use the onion, but I didn't. So maybe to make.
Yeah, the one. So
I use the from whole food chicken liver.
Yeah.
And I like cook it, but maybe I will bake it with the onion.
you know, there's a pate that they already have made. Really great ingredients, organic. If you go where the deli meat and the pepperoni and stuff is, it's on there, and there's two different kinds. That's my daughter's. My other daughter taught her that.
So it's like the baby is already made pate.
Yeah.
Already.
Our daughter loves it.
And our daughter
And it's
smashes
not sugar
it.
in it?
Nothing. It's lit because we don't give our kids sugar till
I'm
they're
driving
3.
right there.
Yeah.
No, I forgot about that. I have to go.
You gotta put a card on your phone. I mean, I don't know how I ever lived without having a card on my phone.
I can?
Yes.
I'm
You have
so
an
like
Apple phone.
Yeah, from the Amazon app.
Really?
Yeah, you can make the whole food cart.
That's cool. I'll have to try it.
And then when you think you're gonna go to Whole Foods later, you press like, pick up, and then
You can just drive there and they'll put it in the back of your car.
See? I have no idea.
That's why you come to the village. So we can village you so hard.
So there is 2 different kinds of pate and one is
Yes.
good.
There's a chicken and then there's a duck and beef one, I think. And she loves them. And
And can I ask, this is good when you speak about food, I saw Whole Foods sell it, the bison meat. It's like mixed bison organs and meat and liver together, like hearts and liver. And it's grass-fed, organic, no hormones, antibiotic. Do you think it will be safe if I cook it for him now?
Yeah.
If it's like
so
meat?
ground beef is our kids' favorite food.
Oh yeah.
And it's
Okay, I'm going to buy it.
it's so easy for them to pick up and put in their mouth. So easy.
Because it was so good quality when I
Yeah.
put on that. It was
Yeah.
like the organs and
Yeah, just
bison.
make it into tiny pieces.
Maybe we can try that because
Do you like steak?
I love a steak, yeah.
I usually cut a decent sized piece and I give it to him and he just gnaws on that.
Yeah, for
Another good
TV.
thing for TV.
I tried giving him that, but he was like, I don't want it. I'm like, dude.
Even some people do with a bone too. Just like chew on the bone.
With the
I saw the chicken breast,
yeah.
or the beef rib, and
yeah, then the dogs were so mad because he got it. They did not.
oh yeah, I was like, that's so jealous. Yeah, I'm apologize. I have to go because I have to go.
I think if you could talk about like illnesses, just like homeopathic
Yeah.
remedies for seasonal, especially now that we have cold and flu season
Sure.
for the winter,
Yeah.
like how to support
Oh yeah, that would be a good one.
Supporting natural remedies.
That's good.
Like homeopathy and all that stuff. Oh, yeah, you can do
That's
that.
a good question. Can I ask you about this sickness? Like I used what's it called, liver oil for him every morning, just a little bit tiny. He doesn't like it, but he somehow swallows it, which is great. So for like immunity support for future, that's and vitamin D, right? So that's good. Like, I try, but
The food way to give them stuff is the best way. And cod liver oil has so much incredible stuff in it. So
I
much.
use Norway.
The Nordic natural.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't get enough fats. That's also really important that your husband take cod liver oil or some fats. It's going to help his sperm. Will help with your morning sickness and really nauseous when you're the baby. You just get your husband.
So it says
All morning sickness is from the placenta. The placenta is built on it.
I also have gestational diabetes, but I blamed on him.
Which is also him. This is from the placenta.
Cool.
Yeah. So before you guys have your next kid, you need to have them do prenatals and fats and stuff for 4 months.
What about the one with lemon though?
And that will change your pregnancy.
I had all the I was you say if? I think
that makes another good topic.
So I have a second baby.
It's crazier to believe like the manufactured.
If we had only based, there's nothing.
We just basically your mother like really I just try to help you like what I can do.
Oh my god.
Thank you both so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming by. Tell your friends.
It was so